Welcome back. So listen in today if you want to ensure success, okay? Whether it's figuring out what to do after college, you're stuck in a rut, you're trying to build on this belief of yourself, so it's not a pipe dream anymore. Also, you're going to be learning from this guy today on how you build organic traffic, how you can actually, and what he did was he got a $30K refund from one of those big name advertising groups because he was able to show that he was able to do something that they couldn't do organically, and also learn from him about what not to do in e-commerce. He's got a really great story about what he did in DC and what happened to him. And so now he has that story to teach everyone what not to do. But he comes from a family of 8. He has 6 kids, and then obviously himself and his wife. He's a motivational speaker. He's the owner and franchisor of Rexius Nutrition, the fastest growing retail chain of nutritional supplement stores with over 40 stores and licensed locations across the U.S. He does Rexius Business Consulting. He's the co-owner of Iron Heaven Gyms in Nebraska. He's the owner of VH1 Fit Supplements and OPP, which is Omaha Protein Popcorn Company. And he's blowing the popcorn company up so much so that even yet this year, he still has to go to Dubai because he's selling a lot of his product even overseas. And then one thing that I really love about what he says, and he has a podcast called Now or Never, but one of his quotes that he has blasted through social media and online is, it's either now or never. You bet on yourself or no one will. And I really, really love that. Today I've got Timothy Rexis on. And Tim, that happens to be the name of your podcast, Now or Never. And it's done quite well for you. You've had that belief. You've lived through it. So first, I want to kind of, just talk a little bit about one of the great stories that you and I were having some conversation on recently about how you were able to take a organic traffic campaign that you did yourself to prove out that what you had would do better than what this other group had you paying almost $30K for. You got a refund on it. So talk about that story.
But we thought, let's pay the ignorance tax. This is a big company, somebody that we follow, that I admire, and they had really good sales techniques, which I thought were good for staff. So let's go ahead and sign up. Let's see what this is all about, using certain tech platforms to run paid ads. And it was interesting, to say the least. And it wasn't really a problem with the tech platform of how they were doing it. The problem was with the actual creatives of the ad. What's made me successful in my entire career is pure 100% authenticity. What I say is what I mean. I only do one take, and it drives my videographer nuts. I won't do 2. I won't use a teleprompter. When I do podcasts, don't give me questions ahead of time because I won't read them. I believe the good word.
Do that.
Well, I know, and I just did one last week for this big business spotlight for the U.S. I'll be their spotlight for the month of November. She goes, well, we sent you the 10 questions. I'm like, yeah, you did. I didn't read them. And she's like, why? I'm like, because I wanted to give you an honest, authentic response. And so as we started with the big, we'll call them Globo Gym. Why not? Let's just call it Globo Gym, because if you ever seen Dodgeball, greatest movie. So we go with their tech platform. Now, it is generating some traffic, but it's not the right kind of traffic. It's not the kind of people who are serious. It's a 90% no-show kind of rate, right? And that's never what we've experienced. And all their techniques are usually pricing schemes where, we're going to put you in a 28-day billing cycle or biweekly billing, which is just an easy way of getting 13 monthly payments instead of 12.
Right.
Or initiation fees or accountability deposits. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with all that. I'm just saying it's not in our corporate values and our culture. And by even venturing into that space, we were violating our core beliefs. And so after 6, go ahead.
Sorry, man, but don't you think that most consumers today see past that? They see past the change in the way that someone talks or the nuance of the word that they give something. The semantics.
Oh, I mean, and that's the thing.
See past it?
They a lot of them do, and a lot of these companies are begging on the 20% of people who don't, who are able to be talked into things, and they're going after that model. where you promise something for free, but it's not actually free. So you get them, you do the text them 17 times, and the email follow-ups and the call, get them there. Well, it is free, but you got to pay $700.
Right.
And if you show up to absolutely everything, you'll get the money back towards a future camp, or maybe the money back, knowing that life hits people. Kids get
Right.
sick. I've got 6 of them. Just pick a week. One of them's sick. And all of a sudden,
I've
oh, you
6 of
didn't
them.
show up to one camp, and I don't want to be that guy. At our gyms, we prided ourselves on just pure, just we're gonna earn your business, just customer service, right? So there's no initiation fees, there's no biweekly billing, there's no cancellation fees, there's no contracts at all. Period. You don't even need to come in person to cancel. In fact, we ask you to email so that there's a written copy for both you and me. And we're kind of the transparency, the absolute opposite of what a lot of these gyms do. And so we ventured into this program because the guy that owns the start of the company, I admire what he's done. My business partner and I had to sit back after 6 weeks, paying staff, doing all the garbage, and we've got like 2 people willing to sign up, and they're still not happy about it because of the um, $700 free not free deposit. So I said, let's just do us. Let's cancel the ads. Let's you and me make a video quick, a 1 minute video. Have our person in house, make it look pretty, which takes about 2 minutes. And he goes, "What are we going to say?" I go, "I don't know. We're going to say it when the camera rolls." And we just pure authentic. Hey, here's what we're doing. We want people to sign up. We're going to do this free boot camp, free accountability. We're going to do all this. We posted on our social media, our business social media. Obviously, then we shared it to our personal social media. Told our staff and our trainers and a few of our members that we know really well that love us, and be like, "Hey, can you guys do me a solid and share this?" And all of a sudden, they get shared 25 times in less than an hour.
Mm.
And after 6 weeks and I don't know how many thousands of dollars worth of ads, we'd only had 2 people sign up. And we had 50 people sign up in less than 24 hours.
Wow.
And it was
So
truly, and the thing is, it not only benefited that business, but we had their accountability systems in our retail stores. So now they're in our retail stores every
mhm.
week. And then they get their whole family or their boyfriend, girlfriend, brother, sister, husband, wife to sign up. So those 50 people who signed up for a free boot camp turns into about 200 memberships, organically
So
and purely honest.
now, the one thing you had going for yourself was you already had, a pretty good following on
Yeah,
Instagram, on your shows, on your social feeds. And
yeah.
one thing that you also told me that I think the listeners should know is that you have like a selfie room or a selfie area in your gym, which
Selfie
is kind of
Central,
selfie
posing room.
central. That's what you called it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you have a dedicated spot for everyone who's on social platforms to go in there and kind of not necessarily incentivize them, but it's the place to go to take a photo. And I think that encourages the process. So, even though it may seem so simple to you, uh, and it's creative, but I think a lot of the other gym owners or other businesses out there, they may not be thinking of those little things that they can include that cost them nothing to do. And it actually just drives more business into
Well, we
their
built.
place.
My business partner is one of, premier athlete, one of the best prep coaches probably in the world at this point. He's got clients in several countries. He's very good in the bodybuilding space. Best work ethic you ever seen on anybody you'd ever meet. Nick Langer, he's fantastic, and he owns BR Physique's training company, and he runs that independently through the gym. I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of clients the guy has at this point, but they're always we've done bodybuilding. I've competed for years. I'm not now. I'm not since I got in the gray hair club, but and it's nice to have a space if you're actually into that sport to pose and have the correct lighting. So we have a little 300 square foot room. It's not very big. Mirrors on the back wall, mirrors in the front, spotlights. So it's just like stage prep. And then I noticed that it actually gets used more by the 20-year-olds for their Instagram and their TikToks than it even does the bodybuilders. And so I'm like, well, if they're taking pictures, I want credit. So I put hashtag Iron Heaven Gym on the bottom of every single mirror in the entire gym and including that room. So at least I'm getting some press. And it was funny. I'm not a TikTok guy, but I go to TikTok. There's like 200,000 tags. It's like
Wow.
something insane. And And it's just there, so people see where that's at. And it actually didn't just do that for that particular niche of people who want the pictures for the gym and the exposure in their social medias. It actually got them to quit taking pictures on the gym floor where the serious lifters are trying to do something crazy.
Right.
And so it kind of fixed two birds with one stone, so to speak. And then, when it came to us, like promoting that and not only having the selfie room, but obviously like when we did the video about our boot camp and got all those signups so quick organically is, user generated content, UGC, is where every business owner, retail, wholesale, direct to consumer, membership type businesses should be putting 99.999, I can't say it enough, percent of their entire marketing into that particular field. Because I have a good following, yes, and people will see it, but if they don't have that relationship with me, it's still like, hey, I like this guy. He's got something good to say. But if I get, Karen or Joe in the gym and their immediate neighbors and family who they've been talking to about, hey, you need to get into the gym. Hey, this is a great gym. They share it for me. It immediately has that trust with their little micro influencer network. And so the sale's done. I don't have to create the not only the need, but then that, the buyer's remorse that people get from signing up for something is already cured before they even come in the door. And so
it's no different than the old school referral system, where
in
your
referral
mom
business
talks.
is the best. Yeah. I mean, that's how I started my nutrition business back in 2010. I didn't have any budget left. I lost my tail in the housing crash. I mean, everything I owned. I was invested in real estate. So it was bad. And I started my store, and I didn't have a budget. And one of the second biggest nutrition chain in the country was actually based in my hometown. They were spending $90,000 a month in radio ads. And I had like a 10.
Nutrition.
Yeah. And they're completely bankrupt now. I mean, now they're all
that's why I said I remember those guys.
So, and I knew their owners really well. They're good dudes. They had a failed business model. It was only based on new customers only. And mine is based on complete repeat business and building an empire, which means you start slower, but you end bigger. But all I had was a $10 t-shirt ad budget. So what I did have was the ability to go shake hands, kiss babies, and make people like me. And your ability to create relationships in any business is 100% the value you have. And so I went to 3 different gyms every morning and 3 different gyms every night for 3 years, every day, 7 days a week. I met every person who worked out at every gym in Omaha, every gym trainer, every gym manager, every person. And they said like, hey, come on in, I'll hook you up. Just nice. I'm never pushy. I'm not a pushy salesperson. And they just got to have that face. And so it's a slow but sure guerrilla marketing, handshake referral business. And next thing you know, every trainer in Omaha is shopping at my store, which led to 2 stores and 3 stores. So when we finally decided to do a gym, I'd already met all these customers through my stores and did the work. It still took a while to build it up, but we already had the machine was already there, and take those same principles. And it was awesome having a really awesome business partner who believed the same thing as my wife and I did, and him and his wife, that this is how we're going to do it. We're not going to take a dime out of this business for 3 years. In fact, we're probably going to go further in the hole. We will not pay ourselves 1 cent. We will do nothing but continuous improvement, because that's what customer service is you're not the best until you put it all in and bet on yourself. Only took like 12 banks telling me no, it was a crazy idea before I finally got one convinced that I wasn't completely insane.
So you talk about the service side, and I just think that's so critical in any business, because I think a lot of that is lacking, from restaurants to, health clubs, still, fitness industry, to hospital systems, the service side, and they talk about being member centric. I mean, shouldn't you have always been member centric from day one?
Yes.
What is this whole new idea?
Well, I think that as an expression I've used on my podcast and when I spoke to other people is you're either growing or you're shrinking. There is no being complacent. The problem is, once you figure out you're shrinking, it's a little too late, a day late, and $1 short. It means you weren't taking care of your existing customers. You always thought it was going to be this good. I'm good. And you quit doing that effort. And that's even with the gyms. Do I really need to try to squeeze another new piece in? No. Am I going to because it looks cool? Yes. I am still my biggest customer. And I'm like, and I'm in my 40s. I might compete again. I'm kind of toying around with the idea of going to the master's class just for fun, because my oldest son wants to do his first show, and I can't let him talk smack to me the whole time. So, but I see a standing side delt machine. I'm like, ooh, we got to have that. And then my members geek out because we're constantly investing back into the business. And a lot of gyms, and this isn't a slam on other gym owners, but you charge that yearly equipment fee. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
My job is to take care of the gym. Your job is to work out. And so we are just month to month. That's it. That's what you got. And we've created a culture around the gym, knowing that the owner operators around, that we care, that if they send an email or DM, we're going to see it. We're going to handle it. I think our biggest claim to fame is, other than cardio equipment that has electronics, no piece of equipment in our gyms has ever broken longer than 24 hours. We fix it. We have a great GM. We'll weld it. I mean, we'll bring the welder down, we'll weld it. We'll fix it. We'll run cable. We'll do whatever. And that's that kind of customer service that people have really come accustomed to. And then, magnify the fact that we have 3 facilities and we're able to do that at all 3, has led us to about a 600% increase in the last 24 months.
So did you feel anything back in 2020?
Yeah. So each company is slightly different. The retail, I didn't publicize this. Every one of my franchisees that was allowed to be open, because some states we weren't, almost every one of those franchisees had a record-breaking year. And it really was because we've spent our time building relationships and cultivating relationships, which has always been my focus. So when people were challenged to say, hey, don't buy this on Amazon, buy this from a local retailer. Like, we've been here, we're your neighbor. We're the one donating to the Little League fundraiser, or your aunt's GoFundMe when she gets sick. Like, that's us. And people really do take that true. Now, the brand that I supply in my stores and we sell internationally, BHI supplements, we're still feeling it. It's been really rough, to be honest with you. And obviously, that on top of COVID, I think right now is actually the worst economy I've ever seen in my adult career. By a long shot. This is worse than 08. This is worse than Y2K, and this is worse than COVID.
Really?
Big time. I do a lot of business coaching, and coast to coast, north to south. Every single business I've talked to is having their worst 2 quarters in at least a decade, if not more. And because we're still dealing with the aftermath of the supply chain issues, which is just now finally starting to get cured. But you understand, so how the market works is, especially if you're in retail or wholesale, the bigger brands set your price ceiling, so like Amazon. And if your costs go up and Amazon doesn't raise their price ceiling, here's what happens to your margins. And that takes a while to come back down. Now you increase the interest rate, because a lot of us use lines of credit to purchase raws and goods. The interest rate's through the roof, right? But, all the property values increased during COVID, so all of us rent spaces, and everybody pays their triple net cost, their pro rata share of property taxes. So now we're paying higher rents than we've ever paid because of the property tax increase, because of property value. So it's kind of right now the perfect storm. Now take on commercial property and retail spaces. The banking industry, who holds these loans, is freaking out because they've had so many bankruptcies. So now banks aren't loaning money, and without loaning money, line of credit, businesses don't expand. It's hard to expand and buy inventory and try to cure those shortages in the inventory value. So and this isn't just our country. Since I do business in 12 countries, it's everybody's kind of feeling the same thing. We are a global economy, and if of any industry, the health industry, because whether it's a supplement where certain ingredients come from other countries, you can't grow certain ingredients here in the U.S. And or to be steel, or to be equipment companies, all of it's a global economy. So, COVID specifically for the gyms was good for us, and I got canceled, I think, 12 times. Which I'm old enough that I have to actually care to get canceled, so I don't. But I refuse to close. I don't look at gyms and health as a discretionary business. People don't just work out for vanity. They work out to overcome addiction, to overcome anger, to overcome financial loss, emotional. There's a lot of reasons why people go to that gym, and for that hour, they get to let it all out, and that's a huge deal. And so I said, I'm not closing. I absolutely refuse. We'll be unstaffed. You're there on your own reconnaissance. We're technically a faith and fellowship club. So as far as I'm concerned, you're in there playing Parcheesi chess or have a Bible study. And so what happened was the Globo Gym here called me in 37 times for social distancing. And
Wow.
every time the cops came in to check our social distancing, they signed up once they saw how cool the gym was. To the point that we ran out of key fobs. So, and the key fobs are made in China. So we had to switch to a barcode system. So now people can go to our app, buy a membership, and walk in 24/7, 365. And at the point that we went from doing okay to complete capacity. And we ended up having to open a third location in 2021 just to meet demand. So for
Wow.
that business, it was good. So for the retails and the wholesale, I want to say it's post COVID, the supply chain issues that really hit in 21, 22 into 23, it's definitely rougher than I've ever seen. I've seen more bankruptcies in that industry in the last probably 18 months than I've seen in the last 18 years. Gym businesses, if you ran it right, you're doing well. And if you didn't, if you were an uninvolved owner, you're probably auctioning off equipment.
Right.
So
So speak to that for a second on the gym side. You have no requirement for term length. People can sign up, and there's no enrollment fee.
nope.
There's no additional annual fee that gets applied. So what's the it's just because it's so simple. You know, I look at Planet Fitness, they do a very similar model, but they do have an enrollment fee, and so does Crunch. So what's the process for you? Like
Well,
where's that member rate range?
well, my thing is this: is that Planet Fitness is 92% of their members don't use it, and that's how they designed
Mm,
it, and they made it in a way so that you didn't actually want to go there and cancel it. And my difference is I want 92% or more to use it. And when you do that and you get that mentality, one, they share it on social media every 5 seconds. So I don't have to do a paid
right.
ad because I'm getting blasted 250 times a day. And so if there's anybody who's remotely involved in anything fitness anywhere around Omaha Metro, we're rated number one. Like it's not even close. And which makes it easy. And then two, that means we're going to buy better equipment. We're going to buy real dumbbells. Dumbbells go to 200 pounds. Why? Because if you get crazy enough and you want to do it, I want to see you do it. Instead of having a lunk alarm, I want to create a Ronnie Coleman alarm in like the worst way. So remember when you were in grade school, I don't mean you didn't have it. In grade school, I went to a Catholic school. We had like a green, yellow, and red lights, like a stoplight. If it went to red and the siren went off, you were too loud and everybody didn't get to go to recess. Well, I want to buy one. And then instead of the alarm going off, Ronnie Coleman comes out and yells something because you dropped some heavy weight, like ain't nothing but a peanut or something cool. Because I want to see you challenge yourself. I think every person is out there searching for their own piece of greatness. And I want to be part of that process. I want to be part of that story. And we had members as old as 85. I mean, all the way down to teenagers who were in there. And I expect that each member of our gym support that kind of environment. I've only ever had to kick out 2 or 3 people in 6 years for doing the chest bumping, walk around, imaginary lat syndrome. I'm cooler than you. 3, that's it. I mean, everyone gets it. And at the end of the day, they're not really scared of me or Nick. They're kind of scared of my wife. You know, because if I send Brittany Rexius in to handle something, she's going to cut you emotionally. And nobody wants to, be punked out by my wife. So, for us, it's fun, and we get to kind of kill that preconceived notion of these gyms that are scary. And that's why the free boot camp was such a big deal, because it's a proof of concept. And those 50 people who were only like 3 of them were existing members. The rest were all brand new. They got to see the gym being like, oh my God, this place is not like it's, and they all found the same thing. I heard the same thing 50 times. They're pushing themselves harder, that they're actually going beyond what they thought was possible. One gentleman, Marcos, I mean, he lost 16 pounds in 5.5 weeks. Dropped, I don't know how many percentage of body fat. Visceral fat dropped from a 10 to like a 6. He dropped his blood pressure meds, his cholesterol meds, and was taken off type 2 diabetic pre-watch. That's massive. And the fact that I get to be part of that story and the amount of people he's going to tell that to, that's how you grow a business. I don't need fees, and I don't need initiation fees and all that stuff. Come in and give us a shot and check it out. If this isn't for you, cool. I don't want you here. In the nicest way possible. If Planet Fitness is a better fit for you, or the YMCA, you should go there. I mean, I just want you to get up off your butt and do something. I can't be everybody's everything, and too many gym owners are trying to do that. You need to be somebody's something. Find your niche and stay true to your core values and your mission, and you'll do just fine. And a lot of it's going to be one person at a time. And when we're rocking 3,000 members at one location, like I have to continuously, I'm expanding my original gym from 13,000 to 30,000 square feet in 60 days.
Wow.
And I guarantee you guys, I'll be at capacity within a year. And it's just, and that's just because we're doing things right. Now it's becoming almost like this, people have never been in. They're driving from out of state an hour to check out this gym they've seen on Instagram, and they're paying a drop-in fee, and they're taking 900 pictures because it's like you haven't arrived in the fit scene until you've trained at Iron Heaven Gym in the Midwest. And so we go and we travel because we're fans, right? Like we'll go to Auburn, and Chicago's got like 5 great gyms, and we're going to be in Orlando next week for the Olympia, and we're going to probably go find 3 other crazy gyms, and we're going to take pictures of stuff. And then we're like giant kids in a candy store. We're going to come back and buy more things. And because, oh my God, that's so cool. We have to have it. And when you're a true representation of your own customer as the owner, you'll make choices for your business that other people who align with you ideally will find awesome. And that's really how it looks for us. And, and there's tricks on the business side, depending on what state you're in. And this is what I do a lot of my coaching on is finding the right economic vehicle for you to own a gym. And I found with the global gym company that I was with before, there was a lot of new owners, and I ended up jumping in over the coach like probably 10 times, being like, don't do that. This is the kind of space you want. This is what you're looking for. Like in Nebraska, a warehouse space, triple nets are like 75% lower than retail, which basically means if you have like an 8 to 10 or 12-foot ceiling, in a retail space, you're going to pay 3 times what I pay in the real estate tax portion. So if I go for a warehouse style gym, 25-foot ceilings and up, I'm paying 75% less, which in the end of the day, guys, means about 30 to 40% less in a total rent expense per month on a space that's actually larger. And then, you have a different feel in a warehouse gym as long as so we're like a warehouse gym, but we're also boutique. We have it finished nice, but we kind of get the best of both worlds. And so just understanding what's that?
You pay more for the volume because you have to heat and cool the space more.
Yeah, to a certain degree. And we're finding out that if you, we got our Gretna gym, which was our 3rd location, we got brand new. We were able to have a lot more. It was brand new. So we will have some different, input in the type of AC units you want to put in. We found like the sock systems, which are those inflatable socks.
Mm-hmm.
They're so much significantly cheaper and even blowing. Like from anything I do from here on out, that's what we're putting in because it's so much cheaper and so more evenly temperatured. And then understanding that you have to understand airflow. So by buying certain fans and then placing them up 15 feet in the air, 20 feet in the air to cause circulation, that it really isn't that bad. So you go drop $1,000 on 7 or 8 really good motorized fans, mount them up 15, 20 feet in the air so you can create almost like a vortex. But we also have garage doors. And so if the humidity's right, we'll open them. But we like that outdoor feel, right? Well, in Nebraska, that's only about 3 months of the year where it's actually a good enough temperature you can open the door. So we ended up cutting windows and on every single panel and every single garage door and every single facility. So you still felt that outside. So you didn't feel like you were in a cave. You still got that retail feel. And so it's really about, understanding the economics of each state and where the tax rate is per city. And so you can make it work financially. But I guarantee the Planet Fitnesses that are in my area, my rent is versus what they buy my payment, probably half of what they pay, at least. Because I know those spaces and I know what they were going for. I've looked at some of the same buildings that they're in, and they are paying double or triple what I pay, which allows me to keep that cost low and not need the initiation fees. And so a lot of times we're looking for the perfect spot, but we're also looking for the perfect spot financially. And I did a video on this on my Instagram a few while back when it came to retail or gym spaces where I said, picking the right property, understand what kind of business model you are. And then, are we trying to be the neighborhood gym or are we trying to be one that, combines 7 neighborhoods? Are we watching traffic patterns where people work? Or are we basing it on where they live? Each one has a positive and a negative, but you can actually get a really good spot for a gym that maybe isn't residentially, really full. But if you base it on traffic patterns where everyone has to work, it doesn't matter. It's convenient to or from work. That's how we base it on when we're choosing a location. And so at the end of the day, it's a sevenfold question. Obviously, when you deal with how do you make this work financially, but the right spot, following the traffic pattern, uh, going for the warehouse space to save on taxes. We're talking like if you're at a 13,000 square foot building, right? We're talking $5 per foot per year. We're not
Wow, that's
talking a little bit
awesome.
of money. We're talking 80, 90 grand between that being a retail zone space or a warehouse zone space. And that's a huge chunk of change. And so
Mm-hmm.
people just don't know that because the anytime fitness model has always been in the retail strip mall. So
Well, I think it's because, you look back at their history and when they start 2000, 2003, somewhere in that range.
yeah,
And that model was social media. I mean, really didn't exist at all. I mean, you had
yeah,
email, and you also didn't have the ability to open up your phone, go to Google, and say best gym near me, and then it would give you a
exactly.
list of gyms. So, to your point, you know, today it's almost unnecessary to have a trafficked visible location
Agreed.
because you can have it hidden. I know of a gym called you may have seen it called Hidden Gym. I think they're out of Texas, and literally they're hidden. I mean, you you got to go look
Oh,
for them, or you
oh,
got to
my number one location is 3 blocks off the main road. You can't see it.
yeah.
I mean, you literally can't. And that was my first nerve. I was like, ooh, I don't know. But it's in the area of town I wanted to be on. It's on one of the five major roads of Omaha, and it's 3 blocks from the interstate. So on the bypass interstate, I'm like, okay, so traffic patterns between about 15 neighborhood communities, and then obviously the interstate ties you and everything else. And that's the most hidden gym I have, and it's also that has the highest membership rate. When I
Wow.
tell you that in a given week we probably sell well over 200 day passes at that gym alone from people
Wow.
traveling, that's huge. And so it's just not the same as it used to be. It's the same thing with retail, though. It used to be back in the 90s, you were in the mall, right? Everyone
Mm-hmm.
went to the mall.
Oh yeah.
Half the
Yep.
malls are shut down. Nobody goes to the mall. And the rents you were paying at the mall were absolutely ridiculous. Now, I do think it needs to be visible in retail. So people, especially if you're dealing with female clientele over 50, they're
Mm-hmm.
going to want a certain level of safety, yes. But my number one grossing location in the United States is actually my original location at 120th and Center in Omaha. And you can't see it from the road. It's the most narrow store in the entire company. There's a tree out front that blocks my sign that I have tried to bribe employees to kill at least 60 times so that my hands are clean. And it's still like the foot traffic there is insane because I spent so much time guerrilla marketing it. It almost became like this fabled story. There's this little nutrition store. It's right behind
Right.
Taco Bell. You can take a left to go bad to Taco Bell, or right for good for Rexius. And now I'd never move that store. And the funny thing is, what was there before me was a Verizon Wireless that didn't make it even a year, a UPS store that didn't even make
Mm.
it 2 years. I'm the only person in the 40-year history of that building to ever re-sign a lease there. And I've signed
Wow.
4 times. And it's because I'm going to get 60, 70, 80 sales a day, people just walking in the door because I've been there so long. But that's because I put the work in to build the reputation. And now, I mean, thank God my landlord hasn't raised my rent too much because they probably could and I'd still stay there. So,
So, do you think, I mean, I'm in the tech space, obviously, biz ops,
yeah,
and you look at this, and I have to question it, right? I mean, you have these brick and mortar locations. Why not just be all online? And we're going to get into your story here in a second, but why not just all online? Because the way I see things progressing is I see we have NFTs, which are memberships. We have cryptocurrency, which is no different than a token that somebody uses. Gaming, you have a game share that you're sitting in. So you look at these things and the way things are progressing through our life, and we're in the tech era that's just moving at rapid pace. People are. I have space in the metaverse. I have a land in the metaverse that I own, and at some point, these areas in this virtual world are going to get developed just like stores. and people are not going to have to leave their home. I mean, we're doing this podcast 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you couldn't do a podcast like this. And people can go into this virtual world, throw on their headset, throw on their bodysuit, go in, have the sensory that they need, and also make purchases. You know, I could purchase your supplements at your virtual store that cost you not $5 a square foot anymore. And I can get that shipped directly to my house, soon. It will be same day. I mean, we already have same day deliveries with Amazon. So why not venture into that? Or are you doing that already?
I'm kind of doing both. We're really pushing the UGC content for the social media and trying to be the best of both worlds in that aspect. But to this day, the driving force is still retail. Retail outsells online for us
all day.
Significantly. I mean, it's not even close. And we also found that the average consumer that come to the store, that they spend 60% more in store than they do online. And the reason being is that, because it's about a conversation. And I give a lot of speeches at high schools and universities, and obviously I do this with my business coaching. They're like, why? I'm like, because I'm giving you an experience in the store that you cannot get online. You're never going to get from an Amazon salesperson who just literally knows whether or not it's in stock. It's the expertise and knowledge. Now, I'm not saying I couldn't do this through like a telemed service and have that conversation, but I find that getting people in the store, and people see this is why they come back, is that we need to break through all the BS you fed yourself. And so my job is to emphatically believe in you, or empathetically believe and connect with you, but emphatically not buy the BS you've told yourself. And it takes an in-person conversation to really do that, because it's very hard to do even in this circumstance, especially when it comes to people's health, especially when it comes to weight loss. And this is an area where we're a very obese country. That's a pandemic that's exploding. That's going to see no downturn if we don't do something about it. So being able to do that and helping people lose 150, 200 pounds and actually literally save their life, a lot of that's hard to do online. People need to be held accountable. Knowing that you have to come physically meet somebody and go through an accountability measure is significantly more impactful than you're ever going to get doing this on the computer. And so but I've also brought the artificial intelligence into the stores. And so understanding that, to me, to bring that level of experience and that customer experience to the store to set us apart is huge. So I partnered with a tech firm out of LA and brought in the Fit Manager AI system. And I spent probably 8 months programming my knowledge into this. So basically what it is a 6-foot tall digital interface mirror. It's an AI that connects to an InBody 570 model system. The problem is those machines are great, but nobody else has to read the data. But I've been doing it for 20 years, so I do. And so now I have the AI going on my parameters, and people can test down to the 100th percentage of a muscle, 100 percentage of a point of any muscle group on your body. I can tell you how much muscle you've gained or lost every time you weigh in the system. I can check your internal visceral fat. I can check your body mass, your body fat, everything. And then we can come through a plan. I can AI track you can actually use an AI logger with this app that you literally have all at your fingertips, but you can actually talk to the phone, tell it what you ate. It will go online and find the calories for you. It's pretty simplified. But I'm realizing that as I've done diet plans and meal plans for people for decades, is the only way that I've had, and I do some online, don't get me wrong, I do. But when they come in person and we get a measurement, we get to really break down the BS. And I believe that also that, the sensory aspect of touch it, smell it, feel it, the atmosphere, all that stuff plays into sales. And even so much so that, there's a reason why LA Fitness took all the supplements out of their gyms like about 10 years ago. And we had a full-blown pro shop in our gyms. And I have a store that's 2 blocks away. The average consumer would spend 3 times as much in the store than they would in the gym. And you have to actually study the topography of this. It's because they don't want anybody else in the gym to know what they're taking. And so, they want a private conversation. And that's really what it comes down to.
So would you not recommend gyms? Because I hear this. Sorry to stop you.
No, go ahead.
This was a good spot here.
Yeah.
Because gym owners, also ones who are listening to this, in their mind, they're going through this whole idea of, I want to generate more revenue. I want to generate more traffic. But revenue, how can I do that? I can add more products or services. And one of those products happens to be, smoothie bar, which I would, not recommend because I think that it's very costly and you got to go through a bunch of
It is. You get the
licenses
health
with the
department
city.
involved. You got
Oh
all the
my gosh.
licensing. Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Yeah. And then supplements, they want to put a supplement shop, a pro shop in their store, and it's less costly, but then you have the inventory you got to maintain and make sure that, it doesn't go bad. And to your point, they're not going to spend as much in the store at your gym. They're going to go down the street to maybe the local nutrition store and,
They are.
pay
And
3 times more,
here's the
6
thing:
times
when
more.
you have us, and you gotta look at it from an analytical point of view. Take yourself out of it and understand that perception is reality. And so, if you see a really small pro shop, what's your thoughts? You're going to say, okay, they have a small selection, so either it's not successful or they're overcharging.
Right.
That's the two perceptions you get with that. It's that they're not successful because there's not much in here, or it's a gym, this isn't their main bag, so it's probably overpriced. It's an immediate perception. And two, they don't want to buy it from the gym, especially if it's a salesman type gym, especially a personal training gym, which are the ones that have the hardest problem with this, because they feel if they buy it from you once, that you're going to try to talk them into it all the time. And people don't want that future buyer's remorse that doesn't even exist yet. So we have a little pro shop. It's little, and it's obviously our brand of supplements that we have in there, because people know it, and
Right. It's positioning.
and it is. And the funny thing is, I put in this. Sound cool. We did this last year. We put in a large. You ever been to the airports? Okay, and you see these vending machines that you can buy T-shirts and hats, and it's not they're huge, right? So we got one, and so you have 2-pound jugs of proteins, full pre-workout jugs. They're actually little doors you open up and use your credit card and buy it. I think we do more out of that thing when we're not staffed than we do while we're staffed with the open pro shop. Because there's no need for a conversation. And then two, like they want to have that conversation. It's hard if you're a personal trainer in the gym to have that long conversation. That these sales conversations in my stores, I've had people stay in there for 2 hours and just going through everything. You can't do it in the gym if you're a personal trainer, because if you're worth your salt, you probably have another client.
Right.
So then that sales process gets sped up. But you come into my store, you're my entire world. You are my entire world until I lock the doors at 7:15. I mean, you can stay there all day, and I will talk to you all day, and I will find out. I become people's therapist in a retail store half the time. It's like the old school barber shop. You're going to tell me all your problems. We're going to get through it, and we're going to make this thing work. And I find a lot of times in sales, people, especially in the nutrition industry, it's twofold, right? They're trying to overcome an obstacle in their life. It's part of their health, and then you got to figure out why it's so important now. They get divorced, found out somebody was cheating on them, lost their dad to heart disease, dreams to go to college, get a scholarship, but they're still second string. You're going to get into all these reasons of the why and not just the process that needs to happen. And by getting to that truth, you need time to have that conversation. It takes time to build that relationship, and it's not very conducive to a gym environment. It just isn't. And so that's why a lot of gyms, the Blue Moons and the LA Fitnesses, and most of them, I mean, they really don't do supplements at all, because it ends up expiring and stole, because it just is not conducive to that sales environment. I'm not saying it can't be done. If a gym owner wants to make money, partner with a brand that you believe in. Use your social media to post about that brand, and let them know, like, hey, I've got a code. And this is where we've worked out really well with trainers and coaches and gym owners. We partner with quite a few for VHI. We're like, hey, your client's going to get 10% off using your code. So, like, hey, that makes it look like you're remiss. Why stock and take the money? Partner with the brand that wants to kick it back, and with formulas that you believe in. And like, we make formulas specifically for dealing with stress and sleep, because number one problem with all of our clients is what? They're stressed out, they're not sleeping, right? And our protein qualities, things of this nature. And so things that actually are going to benefit your clients. And so partner with them, because now you're not in the inventory. It's way less opposition, me versus you trying to talk you into something. You still get paid for it. You get 20% of the gross sale or whatever it is. Your client, your gym member still gets 10% off. Just save the money. Just save the money. Because on these big name brands you see on TV, the Gorilla Mind or Instagram, the Gorilla Mind, you're not going to make 20% on that anyways. And it might take you 3 months to sell it. And you're sitting out that $40 cost until somebody actually buys it. And God forbid it's a pre-workout and it's human and it goes bad, they're not giving you your money back, and now you're stuck with bad products. So it's just not real conducive for the gym environment. The gym, like, we honestly sell more swag in the gym than anything. Hats, stocking caps, jackets, all that stuff, which is also phenomenal marketing and branding around town.
Of course.
So make sure you have the best, coolest gym swag on the planet, because even if they don't even like your gym that much, they'll wear it. And it's still promoting. So, that's for me is my 2 cents. So we've actually made a big move with our UGC content and our influencer affiliate program for VHI and OPP Popcorn. Is my number one focus is trainers and gym owners, because they have that trustful relationship. A lot of them have had the same situation you and I just spoken about, where they don't really want it. They feel like they're talking in. They still want to make money. Okay, you can still make a vertical without having to make an investment, an actual monetary investment. Partner with a brand you believe in that's willing to kick back, and we do. I mean, I just sent one guy a $2,000 check, and all he did was have his gym customers go on my website and save 10%, and $10,000 in sales later, I cut him a $2,000 Venmo. That's a lot better than sitting out $2,000 and a product still sitting on your shelf, and hopefully, God, you didn't pick flavors that people don't like. I mean,
and I think the other thing that some of these owners, if they haven't ventured into supplements yet, that they don't realize is, the packaging that you have to go through and the cost associated with that, as well as the minimum runs that you might have. So you might know a facility that can produce what you want to produce, but once you start down that road, you have a minimum run. You might have to buy a few pallets or more, and that's of just one SKU.
Well, that's the thing is, if you're buying the name brand stuff and you're just a retailer, well, then you're not going to get a pricing thing. Like I had one guy message me last week. Well, why should I open a Rex instead of my own? I said, well, because he already has a store. I said, why don't you look up the price of this protein from Access Sledge? And he goes, okay, it's this. I go, cool. I'm 50% cheaper. He's like, oh my God. I go, yeah, so that 5% royalty doesn't look so bad now, does it? Because I have the buying power, and they don't. They just can't compete. And so the margin isn't there to sit out on inventory. Now, creating your own brand, and I get this from the high school kids a lot. So I'm going to start my own pre-workout. Don't.
Right.
Because if you're getting a stock formula, it means there's nothing unique about it. You're going to have to hard sell them, and they're probably not going to rebuy it again. So then you're always going to have some spoilage. And then two, people change pre-workouts like you and I change stocks. There's no brand loyalty in that margin. Protein is like it's a hard push, because once people find a protein flavor that they like, that digests well, they're not switching. You're gonna have to live sample the living heck out of that to make them go, oh my goodness, that's better than what I take now, and it's expensive. The margins aren't there. My last protein order my purchase order was $250,000 to just get it to get in line, and I had to wait 12 weeks for it. So it's not a cheap process. So if you find somebody's like, I can do this, no minimums, they're probably filling it with cake batter, which does happen in my industry a lot. So Amazon last year, as the Consumer Reports, 50 out of 50 products bought on Amazon in the health and nutrition space. This is another reason why stores are becoming so popular, by the way, is where 50 out of 50 products were all 100% fake, some even containing pharmaceutical drugs. Not one was real. Wow. Not one. So if you buy your supplement, let's say this is a supplement, you buy this on Amazon because it's your favorite brand, it doesn't mean it's coming from them. That means some dude filled it with something with the same label and sold it on Amazon. This has been the problem with Amazon since day one. And it's happened before where some guy in Mississippi, and I remember I read this, and he went to prison, and Amazon didn't get a fine. He was copying a famous pre-workout, but he was adding Kool-Aid powder and meth. 5 people died in one day.
Wow.
Amazon not held responsible. They're just a middleman. And it happens a lot. And this is why the stores have been popular. But the biggest heartbreaker for me was last year, or it was right during COVID, like 2022, even last year. This poor kid, he's in my store. He's in tears. His dad's in tears. Baseball's been his whole life. Division I scholarship, pops positive on a drug test.
Wow.
And then he comes in and we talk about it. I go, well, he popped off as a SARM, a selective androgen receptor modulator, Ostrin, which is very healthy if you actually read the benefits overseas studies. Let's forget our FDA here, but it's illegal in NCAA and it's illegal in MLB. Well, and he'd actually had 2 positive tests. One more, he's banned from the NCAA for life, and it's a 5 or 7 year ban before he go to Major League Baseball. And he's 19. His whole life is ruined. What I found out was he bought some creatine online when creatine became such a hot commodity because 2 of the 3 top manufacturers in the world went belly up during COVID. So people were taking rice flour and excess SARMs and mixing them and labeling it creatine. He had no idea. So his dad, trying to save a buck and being lazy, it just cost his son his 5-year scholarship and possibly a future of ever playing Major League Baseball. All because you wanted to save $5 on a website and just assume that everyone on the internet somehow is beyond.
Oh, they're all honest. Everyone on
or
the
they're all
internet is
honest.
Yeah.
And so, and this is where I think why the retail stores and these horror stories, there's a lot more and more and more of them. And I guarantee that kid's story has been told around my city so many times in the last year that there isn't a parent in the metro that will let their kids buy a creatine online.
That's good.
So that's where the stores are still so relevant, because there's no way of verifying what you're getting is actually coming from that company. Now, Amazon is making changes to their platform, trademark regulations and stuff like that. But, anytime there's money to be had, you're going to have people try to skip the line and break the rules. And like, I have a store, you know where to find me. I mean, so there's nowhere for me to hide. And if I don't sell you a good product, I'll be out of business. Some dude randomly makes 1,600 fake accounts on Amazon that sells you junk. You're never going to find him. And they never did either. So this is where the stores are still very relevant.
Man, that's tough to hear, but it's good information. And I really wanted to get into some other stuff here, and we're going to have you back on, because there's a story there that I need you to tell about Amazon. So we're definitely
my ultimate canceling.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one we're going to pop back on, because it honestly made me more famous than getting canceled. That's why I took a break from podcasting on my own channel for a while. But
they're going to learn all. We're just going to leave a whole episode, a whole show.
Well, and that's the thing is, if you're going to be a man of integrity, if you're a man of faith, and if you're going to be in business and you want to change things for the better, sometimes you're going to be a martyr. Legitimate one, not like one of these fake ones for attention, but literally you're going to have to take the arrows for future. And I didn't realize when I went that that's what I was signing up for, but I got big shoulders. I'll handle it. So
yeah, hey, I'm glad you were standing in front for everybody else to take the arrows before anybody else followed your lead.
Absolutely.
Hey, Tim, thanks so much for being on. Where can everyone find you? I mean, you've got like 20 businesses, so.
The easiest one is timrexius.com. It's TIMREXIUS.com. I have links to all the companies, the speaking engagements, the business coaching, all 5 brands. It's all on there. In fact, timrexius.com gets more monthly visitors than all the companies combined, because I think that's where everybody just goes, which is awesome. For my one-page GoDaddy page, it still only cost me $29 a year to host. That's the cheapest thing I got. But it's a great directional for me. If you find me on Timothy_D_Rexius on Instagram, that's probably where I'm most active. As far as like social media, business-wise, LinkedIn, it's just my name. I don't get too creative with special names and I'm finally going to get a TikTok. I don't have one personally, but my daughters are on me like white on rice to I've been in their videos. And apparently it's me dancing like an idiot is their most popular videos, but I'm not dancing.
At your prime time. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and if you guys didn't hear his detail on where to find him, I'm going to put that in the show notes so you'll have it. And Tim, so much, man, so much of a pleasure to have you on. And definitely we'll be catching up either through the phone and certainly have you on the show again. I really appreciate your time.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
All right. That's it for Sweat Success today, everyone. Again, check the show notes. And if you want to find out more about Tim, you know where to find him. I'll see all of you on the flip side. Take care.